councillors. Welcome to the November monthly meeting of the Central Coast Council. We have a full complement of councillors this evening and no councillor apologies, some staff apologies which are noted in the meeting agenda. And welcome to those of you in the gallery. As I said before, it's always fabulous to have people in the gallery, particularly nice when the gallery is full, and it might be full to overflowing this evening, and we have some processes around that if additional people do arrive. This is a workplace for both our staff and the councillors, so you'll appreciate that we have some protocols around everybody being seated and having enough room for everybody to be in, but certainly appreciate you being with us this evening. Please be advised that this council meeting is recorded and it will be live streamed and will remain on online for members of the public to view. Please also be advised that the development application relating to item 8.3, educational and occasional care at 3 Leven Street, Ulverston, has been withdrawn by the applicant and therefore will not be considered at tonight's meeting. Let me open the meeting with an acknowledgement of country. The Central Coast Council acknowledges and pays respects to the traditional owners of Lutruwita, Tasmania, the Palawa-Pakenham people. We acknowledge the Punalapana tribe of this northern country, and in doing so we celebrate one of the world's oldest continuing cultures. And we also start our meeting with our own statement of values, which has been articulated by councillors following the last election, which is guided by the diverse beliefs, experiences and backgrounds of the people we represent. We will strive to make inspired and respectful decisions today that will build a better tomorrow. Attendance and apologies are listed at item 1. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Councillors and staff must declare any pecuniary or conflict of interest in any item on the agenda, and we have none as I understand it. Is that correct? No items to declare. Thank you. Item 3, confirmation of the minutes. Would a councillor care to move the recommended motion for that item? Thank you, Councillor Hiskett. Seconded, Councillor Viney. Any questions on those minutes? No, there being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Aye. Against? Declared unanimously. Thank you. Item 4 is the Mayor's report, so Mayor's communications. Just a couple of things to mention there. Just wanted to make note, as it wasn't reflected in the Mayor's diary, that 6 of us attended a gathering at North Moreton on Friday night with representatives of our community and people in our community, including Philip Jewell and Kevin Abood. Thank you, Kevin. I can see you there in the doorway, who have been regular attendees at council meetings over the past couple of months. So we were invited to meet with them and gain a better understanding of their concerns and their interests and how they spend their time and how they support each other. And I feel like the 6 of us that attended on Friday night walked away with a better understanding of all of those things. My thanks to the 5 of you who accompanied me there, and our collective thanks to those people who were very hospitable to us on Friday night. I even gave us a cup of tea and a biscuit, which is always good. And I certainly learned things, and every day that you learn a new thing or hear a different point of view is a good day, isn't it? So, and as I always say, aren't we lucky to live in a community where we can have a diverse group of opinions and thoughts about things, and we can all go home safely after the discussion. So no, that was really good. So just wanted to publicly extend my thanks to Philip and to Kevin and those that hosted us. And Councillor Diprose, you had something to share under Mayor's communications, please. And it involves a present, which is always good. I like presents.
Okay, here we go. So on the 2nd of November, I represented you at Diwali at the Ulverston Rowing Club. A wonderful event that also Mayor Jarman attended from Devonport. So there's just a gift there. They gave it to me, but I thought since I was representing you, I better pass it on.
That's very kind. That's very kind. But
and I look forward to seeing you next year.
And isn't it great that we have so many and such a large diversity of cultural and faith celebrations happening, well, right along the northwest coast, but particularly in Central Coast, we're pretty special.
It was great. There was about 80 people all together.
Yeah.
And then they went on to do one in Launceston on the Sunday, so it was a wonderful event. And thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you for attending. That's fabulous. There's clearly not enough in here to share. So that just goes to my house. Thank you, Councillor Diprose, much appreciated. That takes us to 4.2, which is the Mayor's Diary, and thank you to the Acting Mayor, John Beswick, for his attendance representing Council at those variety of events, and Councillor Diprose and Councillor Hiskett also for representing. Would a councillor care to move the recommended motion for that item? Thank
Just
you.
got one item to add. Do you want me to add that first? Or
Yes, do so. That would be fine.
the one other item that one other event that I did attend on your behalf was the International Men's Day at Penguin on Friday. It was good to catch up with all the people down there for the International Men's Day. I'd just like to acknowledge Morris Jones, who was awarded the Kevin Townsend Quiet Achiever Award. It's well deserved for Morris to get that. And there was two great speakers there, very interesting. Adam Spencer, who's inspector, I'm not exactly sure of his title, of the Northwest District. Some of the stories that he told us about from when he started in his policing right through to where he is now. It was very interesting. And then the other person that spoke there, which was very passionate about his fishing, was a gentleman by the name of Ian Atkinson. Looks like Gary might know Ian. It was a great event, and it was good to attend.
Thank you so much. Did you want to move the
I'm happy to move that.
diary? Thank you. Could I have a seconder, please?
Second,
Thank you, Councillor Diprose. Any questions on any of those events? It's been a busy month. Yes, Councillor Hiskett.
Just a quick comment, just noting the Councillor Beswick representing the Penguin 150 Art Judging Competition. Just wanted to make note that the winning entries are now on display at the Hive, and so if anyone would like to go and see those winning entries at the Hive, it's they're up, I think, on the bottom floor, or perhaps up the bottom floor, and good to see the art that's coming through the region. So
Lovely. Good on you. Thank you so much. Any other questions on the diary? There being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, and thank you for your support. Takes us to section 5, councillor reports, councillor communications. Councillors are invited to make any reports or update or acknowledge important events and community matters that are of relevance and interest to the council. Anybody wish to share anything with us? Councillor Diprose.
Thanks, Mayor. I attended the Youth Council, which was a great morning. There was a representative from West Northwest who spoke to the Youth Council about resumes and getting work ready. And we also had Kate McClure from Urban Ethos, who was there to talk to them about housing in the future. And they did a lot of activities. It was certainly interesting to find out what kind of housing they foresee themselves to be living in the future in our municipality. And they really enjoyed the activities to the point they asked if they could actually take them back and do them with their schools. So Kate has actually sent those off to the schools for them to do, so give us an understanding of what our youth at the moment, how they would like to live, come back and live in our municipality. Also, I just want to acknowledge the amazing work that was done by the Preston Community Centre on the weekend, organised by Connor Smith, who had a buggy day on Saturday, and then there was many people from all over the state coming up with their buggies, and they had a band on Saturday night, Matt and CJ. And I did 6 hours of volunteering behind the bar for the very first time, and I must admit I have a full and deeper appreciation of bar staff and hospitality staff. I had a job to walk yesterday.
Good, thank you, and well done to those groups. Councillor Beswick.
That's me. I'd just like to just make a note of an event that's happening tomorrow, which you're participating in, Mayor, which is the launch of our trio bikes down at the wharf. So those that may be able to get down there, we've got a lot of people in the gallery tonight. I think I saw Chris Fletcher, there he is. That he'll be down there, and the Mayor will be coming in on one of the trio bikes as we launch this new just trying to find the right word to describe it, service to our community, where we'll be using these bikes to carry people around, especially down at the Dementia Cafe over Tuesday. We can ride them out to West Ulverstone, or we can ride them out to the surf club area. Stop for perhaps a coffee at the Beach Hut Cafe. So I look forward to that launch tomorrow and wheeling you in there.
I can't wait for you to wheel me in, Councillor Beswick. And yes, we can talk about that, and we'll have some media coverage, no doubt. But it is a wonderful initiative and a great opportunity for those people that aren't physically or otherwise capable of getting on a bike themselves, still have that lovely and a bit unique experience which riding a bike brings. You know? So yeah, thank you for that. Looking forward to it. Any other communications? No, thank you. That takes us to 5.2, councillors' questions on notice. No questions on notice have been received. 5.3, councillor questions without notice. Councillors are invited to ask any questions without notice at this time. I won't bother going around the table. Does anybody wish to?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Lodge a question without notice? No, fine. Moving on. Thank you. That takes us to 5.4, which is motion notice on motion. Just realised in the agenda it's written the wrong way around, which is Councillor Wiley in relation to logging in the dial range. Councillor Wiley, I'm presuming you wish to move?
Yes, please, Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you. Councillor Lehman. Councillor Wiley.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors. So without reading my motion, I'm sure you've all had a chance to have a thorough look through that and have heard all of the representations from our community in regards to the motion I'm putting forward to tonight. I have made a couple of notes because I just don't want to lose track of my thoughts, which I'm willing sort of could happen with an audience, let me tell you. So I just wanted to talk to the proposed investigation that I've talked about in section 2. I believe it's something that needs to be done to capture the strengths and opportunities of the dial, to build into our future planning, to make sure that we make the most of forest for our future generations. Some of this work has been done in 2020 with the Dial Range Recreation Plan, where the consultants recommended seeking a scenic protection overlay in the Dial Range. So that's just something that I thought I would bring back to council as perhaps one of the actions if this motion gets passed. I'd like to acknowledge the acting CEO's report stating that we need to have the financial obligation of up to $100,000 for this report to take place. I'm hoping that it won't cost that much money, but I do think that there are many things that we are less impactful that we have spent that money on before, and I believe that this is something that the time is now to act on our dial range plan. I just wanted to point out that this is not a debate for me around logging or not logging, as I'm sure it's not for the rest of you as well. But in the Sustainable Timber Tasmanians plan, it does say that there's the percentage of the saws and millable timber is only such a very small percentage of what they're planning on taking from these coops. So I just really feel like there needs to be some clarity around what's being achieved from these activities and what's important to our community needs to be taken into account of that. One of our council's core values is accountability. We've promised this to our community, and it just got me thinking that we should also expect that clarity and communication on behalf of our community when we are gaining information and needing to advocate. So there are other factors that are equally, if not more important, that are not outlined in my motion that I believe would be great to come from this study as well, which is just the around fire risk, damage to the ecosystem and things that we may not be able to come back from. So I think that we really need to have a clear understanding of what that's going to look like. And I just, yeah, I guess hope that you can support my motion and look forward to seeing what the debate is around the table.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Lehman.
Thank you. I fully support this motion in the 3 parts. I feel it's really important for us to do the study that Councillor Wiley has put on the notice. This is to give us the evidence that we need to understand the value of this natural asset, and will also give us a benchmark in the future to understand if it does get logged in the meantime, what it means to us in the future. Of course, Sustainable Timber may start logging imminently. We have no jurisdiction over that, but we do have a jurisdiction to advocate for our community, and I believe this motion does just that. And of course, this will be more ideal if the forest remains intact. But yeah, all we can do is request that they suspend logging and fully support this motion.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Carpenter.
Thanks, Mayor. And Mayor, congratulations to Councillor Wiley and Councillor Lehman here for moving and seconding this motion. And I think probably people have heard from me over a long period of time about what I think of the dial. And we are so fortunate in Central Coast. We have a ribbon of natural forest from basically a couple of minutes out of the coast, all the way basically into the Highlands and into Lake St Clair. And there's no other place along the coastline that has that. So we're very lucky and fortunate in that matter. And I think we've been lucky too that we've 50 plus years ago, some people had the foresight to explore what the dial meant to normal people. And I shouldn't use that word, normal people. What the dial could mean to people that live in Central Coast and outside our greater community by putting those walking tracks in. You know, and that was done with government money back in them days with the Regional Development Scheme, Employment Development Scheme, and which I was fortunately part of. So a lot of those tracks, I've walked them, and I walked a couple of them the other weekend just to see if I could get back up on top of the hills, and nothing's changed. It's a magical place and it always will be. Irrespective whether it's been logged or not in the past, I think over our life's journey, we always make decisions on what we've done in the past and what we see is going to be the best for our future. And I think this motion outlines what's going to be best for our future. And take the money side out of it, it's still the best for our future, especially in Central Coast, because the dial is the jewel in the crown of Central Coast. So by doing some survey work and some study work, getting some owners into a room and see what they want to do with their private blocks, see how we can encompass the dial to make sure it's there for generations and generations to come and then build on it. I was fortunate enough to spend some time in the Daintree over the last few weeks, and it's incredible how that's kept its natural landscape through people thinking it can be something better than just a forest for creating sawmill logs out of. And that is going to be there for hundreds of years to come. We have the opportunity, yes, to advocate for our community. We have the opportunity to ask Sustainable Timbers to halt their logging. And that's all we're doing. We're advocating. I will remind councillors that we do advocate. We advocated on the medicinal cannabis legalisation some 7 or 8 years ago, which, you know, is not a position the council made, the council taken. We advocated the government to legalise that, and eventually that got through. So people have got to stand up and advocate for what they believe in, and I firmly believe that's our role, and that's why I thank Councillor Wiley for bringing this motion forward. I would encourage councillors to believe in what the dial is for Central Coast. It's not a place, you know, if we could get a protection zone around it, we might be able to get all of it. I don't know, because as we all know, we don't own it. And we're not arguing that. We're not arguing ownership or anything like that. It's just, can we make better use of this patch of ground than what 7% of saw logs might make? And when you think about what would come off it, 7 or 10% of saw logs might get reused here in Tasmania. The rest goes somewhere else. What we could do with the dial, and we've argued that with parks over the years gone past, if we had the dial, what we could do with that with promotion, marketing, and attracting those land-based loving tourists that want to get out and walk and appreciate the bush and what it brings to their life, what we could do with that over the next 70 or 80 years, in my belief, far outweighs what the timber values coming off its worth. And I think that's the argument we've got to keep putting to the government, got to keep putting to Minister Abetz. There is better use of this land. There is better use of this land, and hopefully we can convince Minister Abetz to take it off the list. And that's all we're doing tonight. And I thank these two councillors for doing that.
Thank you, Wendy. Just every bit of your 5 minutes.
No,
So,
no, I
yeah,
did,
no, that was well done. Other speakers, please. Councillor Viney.
Yes, I'd just like to say that I'm 100% in support of the point 1 of the motion, in particular, that we request Sustainable Timbers to suspend the logging. I did have a conflict in my mind about items 2 and 3, but they have been resolved in the last 24 hours because, number one, we are in an advocating position with this motion as council, representing our ratepayers and people, community here. The Dole Range certainly has a very good scenic value within our municipality. I agree with most, well, all what Gary has had to say, Councillor Carpenter's had to say. And I'm just hoping that the cost of the investigation doesn't come to $100,000. Sorry, that's the accountant coming out and me. Yes, I'll be supporting the motion.
Thank you. Other speakers, Councillor Heskett.
Thank you. I don't think I could possibly say anything quite as eloquently as Councillor Carpenter has put it. But add to that, I mean, I think the question of the natural value of these areas is unquestionable. My conflict was always within, you know, what's our role, and under the Act it is to look after our council area, not to look after the state. It's to just look after our council area. And I think if you're looking at it as a holistic approach, it may or may not serve the state better to be able to log these things. But I think if you look at what's better for Central Coast, I certainly think it isn't, that it should be reserved as what it is. And in that instance, I certainly support the council's position to ask Sustainable Timbers to cease logging that area. I had a fair bit of concern about not the doing of the investigation, but the timing of the investigation. We've set a term plan. We set that so you know we've got a number of actions that we are trying to complete over the next 2 or 3 years for the rest of this term, and this wasn't one of them, and we could have advocated that it should have been. That's a fair comment. Again, looking at the passion that's been put into this, especially by the councillors here today and the community, I'd certainly say that the passion in both areas perhaps does bring it to the level that we can bring that forward. What we decide we can't do will have to be decided at a later date, or you know whether we go into more debt to do this. You know, that's a concern that we, as responsible, you know, owners of the council resources, we need to take that into consideration before we make any decisions. But again, I think that's certainly put forward. But the advocacy part is surely strong. That yeah, I think there's a no-brainer for us to sit up and say, hey, we just want to pause this. So happy to hear the rest of the debate. Wholly supportive of point 1 and relatively supportive of 2 and 3.
Thank you so much. Councillor Bestwick, you were next.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I'd also like to acknowledge the work that Councillor Wiley's put into this motion, and I've written my thoughts down as well. It's perhaps in a little bit of a different light. Unfortunately, I was on leave when the Protect Our Northwest Forest group came to our council workshop, and I've liked to have been here to hear that presentation. For me, the logging in these coops is a government and STT issue, not councils. There's a rigorous process that the community can engage in with any planned logging in any areas, and any lobbying needs to be done. It's to your politicians if you don't like the process. I found out recently that Protect Our Northwest Forest groups have an environmental professional as one of its lead members. Therefore, in my opinion, this group has the expertise to engage with STT in this process. As a council, as a council have advocated to STT the community sentiment on these coops, but even if we decide to take up this position and spend money to ascertain the value, doesn't mean that the logging won't go ahead. And then we've wasted community funds and our staff's time and energy at a critical time at the moment. It's my view that a collaborative role working with STT and the Protect Our Northwest Forest group to alleviate the pinch points where the logging will directly affect the usage of the area will be a more proactive way of moving forward. We as a council have a lot of work in our plans, as Councillor Heskett mentioned, that should be our priority to the community, let alone the budgetary costs that this motion requires. I cannot support the motion, as in my mind the council needs to be apolitical, and if we pass this motion it will open the door for other lobby groups asking us to adopt a formal position on their specific issue. Having said that, as Councillor Viney mentioned and Councillor Hisker does, I would be happy to support option 1. Having said all that, I'm happy to work with everyone in a collaborative way to come up with the best outcome for the whole community. Tasmania has a huge amount of land locked away in reserves and national parks that is protected, and apparently we have the most land per capita locked up in the world. I don't want to see indiscriminate logging in any of these protected areas, and I agree with Gary. Sorry, Councillor Carpenter. Councillor Carpenter, the Dial is a beautiful area, and if they were going to log the whole of the Dial, I'd be up there standing with you all. Unfortunately, my career has been in the building industry, and what we were building with 51 years ago when I started my apprenticeship, we were building houses that would stand for 100 years. What we're using now is timber that won't stand that amount of time. So to me, that's a waste of resource when we can't use decent timber. And what I've seen over the time in that 50 odd years, you know, it's a bit sad really when we've got a bit over 50% shut up that can't be used in Tasmania. Some of you here I know have got heritage houses that have stood for 100 years. The houses that we build now unfortunately won't last that long, and that's a sad reflection in some ways on the resource that we are forced into using. Forestry, you know, and it's not a forestry debate necessarily, but it's a crop. It can be cut down. I've done some research when the motion was put up, and I've spoken to some people at the University in Hobart, and as I said, and I'm not necessarily verbalising, I might get a fraction wrong, but excuse me if I do, that the early growth of a forest captures more carbon than in the latter years of the older growth forest. But when we go and fall those trees and we mill them, and that carbon then is captured in the house or the furniture or the stairs that might be built into that property. And then you go and they burn because that's the way you get the regeneration of the old forests. And that's where we get the new growth that'll come through. So as much as I understand Councillor Wiley for putting the motion up, I think there's other ways that we could do it with collaboration, which I've always found is the best way to work through any issue when anybody's got one, you know, in my career. So, but that's my position.
Thank you. Other speakers, Councillor de Vries.
Yes, well, I'd like to say thank you to Councillor Carpenter, because the first thing I've got written down here is the Dial is a jewel in the crown of our municipality, so I need to repeat that. Personally, for me, I don't think the Dial can be discussed in money as far as the report goes, because it is way too valuable for our community, it is way too valuable for the future, for our children. And I would like to thank everyone who's contacted us as your representatives to come with us on how you feel about the Dial, because I believe that is our role. We are politicians, so to speak. We have been elected by you to represent you, and I really appreciate that. And I would just like to say that I'm fully in support of this motion, and, you know, big congratulations, Kate, on this, and Sophie, who's worked alongside Kate, because you've done an amazing job, and thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
I'd like to fully support Councillor Wiley's motion. We was elected to work for all community, for our community. And that's what I have to always think about. The love and the great wilderness that is up there, it's more than money. Money is, it's not about money. It's worth far more than that. One thing I have learnt from a short time here at council is that we are responsible for the well-being of all our community. And the love and the time that people go up there and the enjoyment they get, you can't put any monetary value on that. You just can't. once it's gone, it'll be just horrible to think of. It's the community that we have to, and we are responsible for. And I fully support the motion that you put up, Councillor Wiley. I really thank you for that, and Councillor Sophie for helping that. And I just believe that's what we're here to do. And it's a very, very important issue. And I'm fully in support of the full motion.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. From my own perspective, like some others, I was challenged with not the part one and not the posing of the question. There's a saying in local government, you know, swim in your own lane and be cautious about swimming in the lanes of others. That considered, I wasn't concerned about putting that request to them. As you know, we've got a good, what I consider a good working relationship with STT, and have had some good and beneficial outcomes from our conversation. But I was concerned about prioritising this work and the cost of this work over the top of other things when we are all well aware that we are already well behind both in our activities and in our finances. Again, you know, based on the conversations that we've had around the table this afternoon, the representation from our community, I'm happy to support the motion as it stands. I'll be very interested in us exploring how we go about commissioning such a report, whether there are other stakeholders that can assist us to do that. And, you know, we will have to work with the acting CEO to determine, you know, how we can do that, get the outcomes and the objectives that you've all spoken about, whilst at the same time holding in our other hand our need for financial prudence and not to burden the work. As you know, we were asked some time ago, I was asked to reach out to Minister Daigan and ask him in specific terms in relation to the actions that were outstanding from the Dye Range Recreation Plan. People can be a little bit dismissive of that plan. You should not forget that this organisation, I would say, put hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of staff resources and time and community consultation into that plan, because it was to be the plan that guided the work. It recognises the conflicting and challenging nature of different property owners and different uses, and tries to navigate a way through that. So following up from that meeting with the Minister and then speaking to NRE staff on the North West Coast, they have acknowledged that some of that work has progressed really well. Some of it has not progressed at all, but the part that we did agree on was the fact that there was an undertaking or a sense that group should remain together, that it should remain a group that was used to guide the work, and they recognised that they had not brought the stakeholders back together to have some of those conversations. I offered on your behalf to be the host entity to do exactly that. I don't anticipate that that's going to occur until, you know, probably the first half of next year when everything else is going to happen. But at least it did give us cause to start that conversation. In relation to the scenic protection that you've touched on, we've had a number of, because we live in the most beautiful place in the state, we've had a number of requests for scenic protection, and we've explored them both through the renewable energy zone work and transmission line work and so forth. It's a complicated action that doesn't always get you the outcomes that you aspire to. Nonetheless, it's worth exploring as part of this. So that is enough from me. Thank you for your work. It's been a very good debate and discussion for us to have, and I welcome the opportunity that we should be able to do this more often. Councillor Wiley, did you wish to close?
Only just to thank councillors for their support, particularly Councillor Lehman for all of her support through the process, but also to Councillor Carpenter. I hope one day with more experience I can speak as eloquently as what you can to emotion. It was inspiring, but just for now, know that my heart is bursting with gratitude for this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you. I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against?
Yes.
The motion is carried. Thank you all for your. Thank you. Moving on to item 6.1, petitions. No petitions have been received. 6.2 is deputations. No requests to address the meeting as deputations have been made. Item 7 takes us to public question time. And public question time is conducted in accordance with the local government procedures and regulations, and more importantly, Council's public question time policy, of which you should all have a copy or be able to avail yourself of a copy. When we get to that point, we allow a period of 30 minutes for questions, and we can talk more about that when we get there. 7.1 is public questions taken on notice from the previous meeting. 4 questions were taken on notice at the 18th of October 2024 council meeting. Council's written responses to these questions are sent directly to the questioners following the meeting and are now provided in the agenda for purpose of record. You will see the responses written there for councillors and members of the public. Takes us to 7.2, which is public questions on notice. 2 members from a member of the public were submitted on notice for tonight's meeting. I'm presuming that Mr. Richardson is not in the gallery or in the foyer outside. Mr. John Richardson of Leith? No, if he was, I was going to invite him to read those questions aloud for himself. In his absence, I will do so, as is the practice. So Mr. Richardson of Leith, the question 1, during the period from the 1st of January 2021 to the 30th of May 2024 inclusive, on what dates did any council officer or employee seek legal counsel or advice for any matter or issue? Question 2, if during the period from 1 January 2021 to the 30th of May 2024 inclusive, any council officer or employee sought legal counsel or advice for any matter or issue, what was the reason legal counsel or advice was sought? So the response from the Acting Chief Executive Officer, I should have made you read this one. Council does not employ a dedicated legal team or advisor. As such, various employees regularly seek external legal opinion on a wide range of matters, which may include compliance with statutory requirements, sector standards, personnel matters and contract law. Due to the diverse and often confidential nature of legal opinions sought by council and the administrative burden of compiling this information for over the 41-month period you have requested, I must decline your request. However, I encourage you to contact me directly to discuss any specific matters relating to your requests and would be happy to provide any information that I'm able to. Thank you, Acting CEO, for that response for Mr. Richardson. Takes us to 7.3, which is public questions without notice. Public question time is an opportunity for members of the public to ask questions of the council. Statements and debate will not be allowed, and any questions must be clear and succinct. Members of the public may ask up to 2 questions without notice at this time. Any questions relating to any agenda on any questions relating to any item on tonight's agenda are not allowed in the interest of procedural fairness. Members of the public are invited to address the questions to myself. Please state your name and your area of residence and advise the subject matter on which your question is related to prior to asking it. That allows the relevant director to prick up their ears and know that it falls within their remit. In accordance with the policy that you've been provided a summary of, any questions of a similar nature to questions already asked and answered at previous council meetings will not be allowed. And I advise again the public gallery that this council meeting is recorded, it is live streamed and will remain available to the public online. To that effect, there is a microphone on the end of the table, so anyone that does have a public question is welcome to come forward and ask their question, but I'd ask you to do so within the microphone so that it can get picked up on the live stream and the recording. Did anybody have any questions for us this evening? Please come forward and just speak there near the microphone at the end of the table. Thanks, Andrew.
Come and do my little
And I know your name and where you're from, but please state it for the record.
Andrew Leary, I live in Alveston. A question for Councillor Beswick.
No, questions are for myself.
Okay, well.
In relation to the organisation as a whole.
Okay, well, it makes it
That's
invalid.
right. So anything that's and we've had that conversation before, if you have a question for any individual councillor, please feel free to contact them via email or phone. Their contact details are on the website and the councillor can choose how they interact with you. This public question time is in relation to the organisation as a whole and yours truly gets it. Anything else? Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that. Kevin.
Yeah, for a change, I'll come on up.
Good. Nice to see your great shirt.
For a change, I'll say. Yeah, and feedback. Sorry, Kevin from Ulverston. Feedback from the group from Friday night was very positive that I have found. Now, just for your information, on Saturday I was asked to organise another working bee, no notice, and so I put out a message on our Telegram channel and a couple of phone calls, and I thought might have had 6 attendees here in town. There was 14 of us turned up.
Congratulations.
So, yeah.
How can we help you this evening?
Question to that notice. The last 5 years has seen very changed world with the forcing of lockdowns, travel restrictions, mask mandates, restrictions on visiting loved ones in nursing homes and hospitals, loss of jobs, loss of businesses, breakdown of the family unit as well as friendships, mandates for the so-called vaccines. There is increased evidence there is an increased amount of evidence from all corners of the globe about the damage these so-called vaccines have caused from minor symptoms.
You're right.
Right, Kevin? Please. Yeah, take your time.
Sorry.
All right. Glass of water for Mr. Abood, please, Councillor De Cruz.
No, it's all right, thanks. Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry, my son didn't want to partake, and globally all of his co-workers did, and ended up with myocarditis in hospital 7 days. So, sorry.
I'm sorry to hear that. Please proceed.
Yeah, from minor symptoms to permanent disabilities, and also an extreme number of deaths. They would like to bring the council and all year council's attention to the excess death numbers, which have increased exponentially in the last few years to figures never ever been experienced before in history. In the best interest of the community, this leads thee to the following question. And it's really appropriate I'm sort of here tonight, with you talking about the Dole Range. So my question is, in recent times, the Port Hedland Council in West Australia has made world news with their motion, with a vote of 5-2 to ask the Australian government to cease these so-called vaccines being administered in this country pending further investigations. Port Hedland Council has stated that they were sending their motion with supporting paperwork to every council and councillors in this country. Has the Central Coast Council received and all year councillors received this paperwork as of yet?
Is that the completion of your question, or is there a second part to your question?
No.
In which case I'll answer them both at the same time.
Sure thing. And if so, what action is being considered here? If not, Thee is happy to provide copies for you all. In case all of you are not aware, there has been a special meeting called by Julie Sladden, a West Tamar Council member and doctor in West Tamar this Tuesday, November the 19th, tomorrow.
Thank you, Kevin. So your question in two parts. One, have we received the notice of motion and the supportive information from Port Hedland Council? Yes, we have. That was received by us all on the 11th of November. Second, what action is being taken, if any? Councillors have been advised that we receive a lot of correspondence, but just prior to the meeting commencing this evening, I brought that correspondence to their attention. I asked them to read it, and if they choose to take any action, one of the 9 of us needs to bring it back to the table for further discussion, much similar to the discussion that we've had tonight regarding the dial and how we landed there. So yes, we've received it. No, we haven't made any decision about our action yet.
So can I just, considering several questions that he has presented this year, the responses have quoted the Local Government Act 1993. They would like to bring to all of ye attention the following: functions and powers. In addition to any functions of a council in this and any other act, a council has the following functions.
Sorry, Mr. Booth, we're aware of our functions. Was there a question in relation to that, which would take us to the third?
This was just.
Is there a question?
No, that was just more evidence with that first.
Okay. If you've provided, do you have a written copy that you could leave with us? If so, that can be circulated, or if
I
you
do.
email.
I've got another.
A second question?
A second question.
Yes,
Yep.
succinct, please.
Right. Is the Central Coast Council and ye individual councillors aware of the following? That the proposed over 30 gigawatt hours of energy upgrades proposed through wind power for Northern Tasmania is doubling Australia's current gigawatt hour usage? That this would mean, due to current capacity of production, over 5,000 wind power turbines or towers are being proposed for Bass Strait. That Tasmania currently produces around 100% more than it uses from renewable energy, including hydro, etc. That wind power mills use over 2,000 litres of oil, which is currently petro oil, not recyclable, every 9 to 12 months. That wind power mills are not recyclable. That the Australian energy market operator that controls our energy prices on a daily basis through the National Energy Regulator is at least 40% owned by the major Australian energy companies, which are all majority foreign owned. If not, can the Central Coast Council please get confirmation of the above numbers and information?
Thank you. We'll take that question on notice. Any other questions from the gallery this evening? Oh, thanks, Kevin.
So can I
Appreciate that.
leave these forms here for all councillors?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Thank you.
Good on you. Thank you so much. No other questions from the gallery at this time? No, we have remaining, sorry, I didn't take notice of what time we commence public question time, sometimes after 6:30. We've probably got another 10 minutes or so, in which time, if you think of a question, feel free to jump up and give me a wave and let me know. If not, we will proceed. It takes us to section 8, which is council acting as a planning authority. Thank you for your attendance. Council acting as a planning authority. Once again, a reminder, now that we're in this section, that please be advised that the development application relating to item 8.3, educational and occasional care, 3 Leaven Street, Ulverston, has been withdrawn by the applicant and therefore will not be considered at tonight's meeting. Would a councillor care to move the recommended motion for this item, noting the removal of 8.3? Thank you, Councillor Wiley. Seconded, Councillor Beswick. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. So that leaves us with 8.2, which is the residential shed, awning and fence at 1 Boys Street, Turners Beach.
Happy to move that, Mayor.
What a councillor, thank you. You're just one step ahead of me, Councillor Beswick. Good on you. Thank you. Moved Councillor Beswick, seconded Councillor Lehman. Councillor Beswick, did you wish to speak to this recommendation?
Yeah, just like to, we don't like to see any projects get declined, but taking on board the representations that have been received and having a good look over the plans myself, I concur with the recommendation. Yeah, so there's probably not much more that needs to be added to that, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other speakers? No. I feel like you've summed it up well. That is unfortunate, but there we are. No other speakers. Presumably you have nothing more to
Nothing
say.
more than that.
No, put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. That takes us, unless I'm wrong, acting CEO, to item number 9, which is the Office of CEO and Mayor and the Chief Executive Officer's report. Attached to that report there are a number of attachments to that report, and I think we have. So we've got an updated schedule of correspondence addressed to the Mayor and Councillors, and a updated schedule of documents affixed with the common seal through to the 18th of November. When you are ready and have had time to consider, would a councillor care to move the recommended motion for that item? Thank you, Councillor Hiskett. Seconded, Councillor Viney. Councillor Hiskett, anything to add in relation to the Acting Chief Executive Officer's report?
Yeah, the report itself is has all the information in it. I'd ask the acting CEO, who I'm sure is all across it, but obviously that roadmap to organisational excellence is a document that I think is very important to be understood and reviewed, and see where we're at. That's now coming up a year into progress, and I think that's one of the documents that I find particularly has pushed this council in the right direction in the last year. So just wanted to stress the importance of that. But other than that, the rest of the information is in the report, and it all has the information we need in it. So no other comments.
Thank you, Councillor Hiskett. Any other speakers or comments? No, sorry, Acting CEO, I should have provided you the opportunity to provide comment if you had anything you wanted to share with us. No? Oh, good. Anything further? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. 9.2 is confirmation of the 2025 Ordinary Council meeting dates. You've been provided a schedule for 2025. Who said it was going to be 2025 yet? Anyway, be that as it may, would a councillor care to move the recommended motion so we can have these dates out to the public? Thank you, Councillor Viney. Seconded, Councillor Lehman. Councillor Viney, any comments in relation to 2025 and whether or not you'd like to have it or not?
I think it's going to happen whether we want it or not. But yes, this schedule of dates is something that comes through every year, and there are usually good reasons why we move things up or down within a month, and read through all those, and it's fine.
Concerns? Any other comments? Councillor Hiskett.
Take note again of the 17th of March in Penguin. Always like to spruik that's there.
I didn't think you would miss this opportunity.
Because it's good to see we've got numbers almost as good as we have tonight when we get to Penguin.
I know, we do. It is very well received. That
make sure you put that one in your diaries straight away. Quite interesting that we have not had our January, December ones as we normally would because of timing, but they've been changed during the rest of the year due to other timing. It's just funny how it all works out.
Indeed. Any other comments? Anything to close?
No, thank you, Mayor.
No. Put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 10 is community services. No open session items, which takes us to item 11, which is corporate services and the financial report. Would a councillor care to move the recommended motion for that item when you get there?
All right, because I have to.
That's your job.
Councillor Viney, seconded Councillor Smith. Councillor Viney, did you wish to speak to this report?
Once again, a very clear report. I think we're at this point in time we're ahead of budget, which is great to see. But everything is there very clearly stated and line items. So thank you very much for the report.
Excellent. Any other speakers? Concerns, questions? Just going to give everybody a little minute to catch up. I'm just going to speak slower for a moment. Yes, Councillor Beswick.
Yeah, I'd just like to commend the staff for how these reports are being put together now. It's just so transparent for people that would like to take the time to have a look at the basically a traffic light system. Yeah, it's a very self-explanatory. So yeah, it's yeah, just thanks to the staff for developing that over the last 12 months.
Much clearer, isn't it?
Mm.
Any other comment? No? Councillor Viney, did you wish to close?
No, thank you, Mayor.
I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 11.2 is the audited annual financial report for the year ending the 30th of June 2024. You've been provided with a copy of the annual financial report and the audit opinion. Would a councillor care to move the suggested motion for this item?
I can do that, Mayor. I've caught up.
Thank you.
Where you been?
I'll second that.
I forget. I'm sorry. I apologise for moving so quickly. Thank you. Moved Councillor Carpenter, seconded Councillor Viney. Councillor Carpenter, something to share?
No, Mayor, I think it's there all in black and white. It's been done by the auditors, which we pay a fortune for, so they shouldn't get it wrong. One thing I will say, I think most of our indicators are pointing in the right way again. And when people look at they look at the bottom line and see where it is and all that sort of stuff. But our ratios are really in a good place for a council of this size. So we're heading in the right way.
We are. That's the job. Thank you so much. Other speakers. Councillor Viney.
Just something else I'd like to add is that although we have recorded another underlying deficit, which isn't a great thing to be able to say, the deficit actually was less than half of what we expected it to be. The budgeted deficit. So if it is a bad result, it's actually better than it would have been.
Yes.
My only contribution is to say how confusing that's going to be. But it's a good thing. I know that. So.
Thank you, Councillor Hiskett. Any other comments? No. Again, congratulations and thank you to staff that have compiled the report and seen that through. And of course, it would be remiss of me also not to thank our audit panel that works hard all year round. We thank them also. There being no further comment, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 12 is infrastructure services. 12.1 is an update on the 2021-2026 waste management strategy. You've been provided with the copy of the progress of the strategy. Would a councillor care to move the recommended motion for this item? Thank you, Councillor Hiskett. Seconder, please.
Not second, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Carpenter. Councillor Hiskett.
Can I just say how refreshing it is to receive the document with one of our plans with all the actions on it at a council agenda to make note to? Actually, so often we make these plans and they sit there and we think things are getting done, but this is actually just a very clear way of putting it out there, and I'd like to probably see a few more of our plans get formatted in this way and presented back to council probably on a yearly or bi-yearly notice. Taking note in particular, the implementing the 2-year plan for upgrading the public area waste systems and the great work that council's done in consultation with the community in Penguin to bring forth the bins that have been produced there that was implemented under that action. I think that's a huge win. They're great. Everyone loves them. What a success story. So, you know, worldwide news that was. So, happy to see that that's gone well. The only other comment I would make is that the education and engagement areas obviously have a little bit of work to be done. So I think we need to put a little bit of focus into that. It's clear by bringing this forward, we now know that we do have to do a bit more work in that area. So there are some actions there that haven't quite started yet and some that need a bit more work done on them. So it's good to bring that to, you know, to be open and honest, to bring that to the light that we need to do some more work on it. So, but other than that, absolutely commend receiving the document in this way, and yeah, I think it's really sheds a light on it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers, please. No, I also just wanted to echo Councillor Hiskett's comments, and it's just about being accountable for what it is that we said we were going to do, and recognising, you know, when there's areas for improvement. So I was also really pleased to see the strategy come back to us, and my thanks to the Director. Anything to close?
Just that no one else is quite as excited about waste as you and I are. Apparently.
Well, I think we've known that for some time, Councillor Hiskett. We get excited about waste.
Nothing else to close.
Yes, councillor Beswick. Now he wants to be excited.
Well, it's probably not about that, but I get excited about waste. Having been to Dalverton and to the new dock plant up there, where the Northwest Coast Fargo plant's going, and been lucky enough to be and had a look at the new recycling facility that Veolia have built at Sprayton. We've got magnificent facilities to be able to reduce our waste going to landfill, because I don't know if anybody's had a chance, but if you do get a chance to go for a tour of the Dalverton facility, there is an absolute mountain of rubbish that is just building up and up and up there. So the more we can get out of that, the better. I'm not sure, are we allowed to sort of say about the email you sent this afternoon?
We're going to leave
Read it
that.
myself.
We will, sorry.
We're going to leave that.
That's fine. Yeah, but as far as waste goes, yeah, it's a good news story when we can see what's being developed along our area. So I'm excited. That's what you wanted?
You don't know how close to a point of order I was there, John, because I was in my closing statements.
Yes. Oh dear.
But now you swayed my vote.
Okay, thank you. I've put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 12.2 is the playground policy. Speaking of being excited about things, would a councillor care to move the recommended motion for this item? Councillor Smith, thank you so much. A seconder, please. Councillor Diprose. Councillor Smith.
Look, it's just a nice little policy that just has to be updated. We do realise that we've got a bit of work to do on some of our playground equipment, but it's getting there. Audits have been done on all the particular pieces of equipment, and I don't think there's a lot more that we can say. It's important. It's not cheap, but that's just part of our job, and I don't think I could say much more about it.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Diprose.
It's playground, so I am excited.
I expected.
To have a policy like this and have it updated continually just helps us when it comes to getting people from other municipalities that actually really love our parks and our open spaces to come here and look for something different and new sometimes. So that's always going to be a good thing. When we have new stuff come in, it's about, you know, getting out there and spruiking it. So people always want to come and try a new thing. And it's just exciting for kids in general, and especially for a lot of those families who are suffering financially at the moment. Playgrounds are such a big important part for children in those families. So great report, and I'm glad to see that we take parks and that so seriously in our role.
Well said. Here. Any other speakers? No. Councillor Smith, anything to close?
We're very blessed to have these parks, and we're thankful for it.
The forethought of the leaders that came before us that kept them there. Put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 12.3 is the public open space policy. That is revision number 2. You've been provided with a copy of the policy. Would a councillor care to move the suggested resolution for this item? Thank you. Councillor Wiley. Seconded. Councillor Beswick. Thank you. Councillor Wiley, thoughts?
Thank you. Yes, well, I'm excited about this. I feel like we've all got to say that. Open space is obviously very important to us in the Central Coast and our communities. So this policy is mostly about moving or recognising that it was an open space and recreation policy, and it's now been moved to an open space policy, noting that the users are slightly different. Look, I think that it's all fairly well outlined in there. I don't feel like I need to sort of say too much more about it.
Thank you. Any other comments? No, it looks like every Councillor Beswick.
Just I suppose a comment, agreeing with Councillor Wiley that in the end it's probably a good thing that it's been separated out into 2 areas. It means we can sort of concentrate on those specific parts of that, and a bit like the playground policy. Our public open space, our forefathers, like with the Fairway Park and all those sort of spaces, to be able to have that in our municipality, Anzac Park. So we are blessed with the amount of open space we've got, and it's just really a revision. So that's all me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything to close? No. Everybody finished? I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Takes us to 13, which is strategic growth, and 13.1, development support determinations. There was no update to the schedule. The schedule remains as was circulated to you. Would a councillor care to move the recommended motion for this item? Thank you, Councillor Beswick. Seconded, Councillor Wiley. Councillor Beswick.
Yeah, I'm excited. When you look at the applications that we've got coming through this year, they are up, well and truly up. Our town, our municipality is, it's obviously got a reason compared to last year. Like if you look in August, like we've got 3 times the amount of applications come through. That's just in August alone. So everything's bubbling along really well, which is really great to see. So yeah, it's everything's all looking rosy at the moment. Let's hope it keeps going that way.
Thank you, Councillor.
Sorry.
Sorry, no,
Yeah.
continue.
No, I'll close.
You close,
I'll go
Councillor Hiscott.
I just think it's just such a great indicator of confidence in our region that when you see the development applications up, people will say that here is a region that they're happy to come to because they know that they'll be, sustainably supported through the council procedures. But, just to see those numbers up compared to an already busy council. Like, it's not like we were low numbers before. We were still high numbers, and to see them this year accelerate even higher is just, as I said, I think it's just a true reflection on the confidence levels that people have within this council, and that's due to the staff, and particularly I'd say Director Connolly in that regard for the work. Oh, sorry, acting CEO Connolly, I should say, in that regard in the planning area. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there a comment on the side of the table? I do, Mr. Councillor
Just
Carpenter.
a quick comment. Yeah, it's great to see this moving forward over a long period of time down an upward growth trend. I think the other pleasing thing that developers or home builders or whatever, when you look back through your approval dates and statistics, Darryl, are still first class. And we often hear the comment that Central Coast is hard to deal with, but I think you've got the stats there, you've got growth, and you've got everything beyond your plans to say they are done under time. And they are done in a great time frame. It's well in front of a lot of other councils in Tasmania. So, congratulations.
Team effort.
Thank you.
You took the words out of my mouth, Councillor Carpenter, but I just wanted to again acknowledge the work that's behind the graphs and the numbers, because there is a lot of hard work that happens behind the line, and I think we've just got the best workforce to do it.
Other speakers? For those of you that aren't looking at a copy of this report, the cost of works approved from the 1st of October to the 31st of October, this is purely the discretionary works, is over $7.5 million. Sustainable is key, isn't it? Therein lies the challenge. Councillor Beswick, you want to close?
Yeah, I was going to acknowledge the staff, because in the end, to get through all those applications, there's a lot of work. I take on board having my career planning was one of the main starting points for any building, and I acknowledge that the timing that it takes to get planning permits through. Anybody that's probably complaining is trying to do something that doesn't fit in with the planning scheme. If you do something that fits in, it's actually very efficient to be able to get things through. So I take a grain of salt sometimes with the people that are having trouble, because usually they're trying to do something that's probably not appropriate. But yeah, that's the end of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. This brings us to the closure of the meeting to the public. And that the recommendation is that the council by absolute majority close the meeting to the public to consider matters that are listed in the agenda. Would a councillor care to move the recommended motion for that item? Thank you, Councillor Hiscott. Seconded, Councillor Wiley. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. The meeting is closed to the public at 7:07 p.m. Thank you for joining us. It's lovely to see you all. Please come back another time. We're here every month. Travel home safely.